The ancient oaks convulsed in agony, their twisted branches a testament to the horrors that befell them. Flaming arrows streaked through the darkness, turning the once lush forest into a charnel house of despair. Elven warriors, their ethereal beauty marred by grim determination, fought ferociously against the encroaching darkness, their every movement a desperate bid to stave off annihilation. Gone was the tranquil serenade of nature, replaced by the cacophony of war, the clash of blades, the anguished cries of the wounded, the sickening scent of death and decay. Each moment felt like an eternity for the defenders of the woodland realm as they battled against the relentless onslaught from Dol Guldur's infernal legions. Thranduil, the Elven king, watched with a heavy heart as the shadows of oblivion loomed ever closer, threatening to consume everything he held dear. Yet, even in the face of certain doom, he refused to yield, rallying his people to stand firm against the encroaching darkness. For in their defiance lay the faintest glimmer of hope. A flickering flame amidst the creeping gloom, ablaze with the promise of redemption. The first whispers of malice came on chill night winds beneath the sheltering boughs. Seekers and hunters of Thranduil's realm returned with haunted looks, speaking in hushed voices of strange shapes flickering through the forest's southern vales. Twisted forms glimpsed only in peripheries before melting back into shadows. At first, it was dismissed by the Elven King's lore masters as delusions born of too much time afield. But over seasons, the rumors took on an unsettling persistence and pattern that could not be ignored. Hjorns, the ancient sentinels of the woodlands, began retreating northward in increasing numbers, their bellowing calls carrying notes of primal fear. Creatures long docile attacked with bestial savagery, as if driven into mindless rage. It was the most keen-eyed among the Elven scouts who first identified the source, a creeping darkness slowly spreading outwards from the crumbling fortress of Dol Guldur on the forest's southwestern fringe, where colossal oak and chestnut had stood defiant for countless ages. Their emerald canopies now grew sickly and pale. Rancid fog seeped along once pristine streambeds, leaving trails of poisoned flora withered in their wake. As years etched into decades, the blight radiated further into the forest's veins like a rapidly spreading cancer. Vales that had rung with the songs of thrush and nightingale fell into disturbing, grave silence. Rangers dared not linger in the southern marches after dusk, fleeing as soon as darkness descended. For on those moonless nights, unwholesome shrieks and howls echoed from the lightless reaches. Always there lingered the sense of some patient, venomous malice awaiting in the shadows, a pervading unseen weight driving heedless minds towards realms of waking nightmare. Dol Guldur was awakening once more, and only the bold or foolhardy now strayed within a dozen leagues of the accursed fortress. Faced with the ever-intensifying blight, King Thranduil was forced to make a grim decision. Abandoning the woodland realm's ancient keeps and dwellings that had housed his folk for ages uncounted, he led them in a mass evacuation towards the far northern boundaries of the forest, nestled in the chilled vales beneath mighty Erebor's peak. There, farther from the creeping shadow's grasp, Thranduil ordered new subterranean halls, carved into immense caverns and rocky hillsides, for though their stone foundations lacked the splendor of their former woodland homes, they would prove more resilient against the sorceries seeping like poison from the accursed Dol Guldur. In these northern fastnesses, the Elven King vowed his realm would weather Sauron's return, or meet its doom at this age's ending, fighting defiantly until the last archer's shaft was loose. A sickly infection hung over the forests of Mirkwood, foul winds spreading the contamination from the haunted eaves of Dol Guldur. For years, this corruption grew unchallenged, the abandoned fortress's dark tendrils slowly strangling more of Thranduil's realm beneath its nightmarish grip. The wise could no longer ignore the unmistakable signs of growing evil festering along their borders. In Lothlorien, Lady Galadriel felt the weight of foul whispers polluting the eastern winds. Disturbing visions of shadow and unnatural flame plagued her mind whenever her gaze fell upon that corrupted, haunted wood. Scouts reported dire news, foul creatures roaming the marches, noble trees rotting from inside by unnatural decay, wide swaths scorched by encroaching blight. When the darkness could be endured no more, Galadriel summoned the White Council, her call laced with insistent urgency. The Lady of the Woods pierced the veil of sorcery, shrouding Mirkwood's reaches, revealing vile towers wreathed in thunderclouds, an evil presence reawakening within Dol Guldur's halls, gathering strength year by year. Putting aside lingering doubts, the wise took the united council. The path was laid plainly before them: either remain shackled by self-delusion as the shadow spread unchecked, or move as one to purge this evil before it consumed the realms of elves and men. Thus it was decided. The White Council itself would lead the assault on Dol Guldur. Rolling storm clouds amassed overhead as the council unleashed their might upon the accursed fortress. Galadriel's clear voice wove spell songs that reverberated like tolling funeral knells, shattering Dol Guldur's unbreachable gates asunder in an apocalyptic din. Mithrandir's staff flared with brilliant white fire, its searing rays burning through the gloom to consume ranks of hostile orcs and towering cave trolls in licks of searing flame. Elrond strode forth amidst the ruins, his ancient blade leaving arcs of bloody ruin as he dueled in a dance of malice and steel. All around, the air crackled and blazed with eldritch light and pulsating shadow as the White Council laid furious, unrelenting siege. At the citadel's molten core, thunderheads churned in sickening hues of crimson and obsidian as Saruman and Galadriel joined in dreadful union. Their combined voices rang like the dirge of creation's ending, making the very roots of Arda tremble and quake. There, amidst the devastation's bleeding edge, where the air shimmered with residual sorcery, stood an ominous and terrible figure, at last revealing his unveiled, hateful presence. Sauron the Abhorred, the necromancer whose whispered name struck terror into the stoutest of hearts. But even the Dark Lord's most dreadful sorceries proved feeble and impotent against the White Council's furious siege. With a final cataclysmic invocation, Saruman's staff blazed with the searing intensity of a collapsing star, his words of power carrying unavoidable finality to banish Sauron's twisted, burning essence in a wailing cyclone that cast his spirit back to the blackened, lifeless wastes of Mordor's foundry. Dol Guldur was at last cleansed, the vile presence ejected, but none knew what further malice had rooted there, nor what aim it pursued after abandoning its blighted foothold. For now, a respite had been won for the realms of the West, though at what cost, only time would unveil. Yet this hard-fought victory proved merely the first tremor heralding doom. In the haunted fortress's toxic depths, a corrupting malevolence incubated. As years became decades, pestilence encroached through the despoiled ruins, choking life until clouds of devilry amassed within Dol Guldur's crumbling walls, yearning to rupture upon the free realms once more. When the Dark Lord fell at last in his evil tower of Barad-dûr, his defeat loosed a catastrophic backlash. An unrelenting onslaught of shadow-spawned horrors issued forth from Dol Guldur's festering jaws in toxic tsunamis against the realms of Lothlorien and Mirkwood. Wasting no moment, Celeborn led the Galadrim across the Anduin to besiege that ancient bane upon their borders. As combat raged across those embattled plains, Galadriel looked out upon the heroic remnants teetering on the cusp of oblivion, overwhelmed by the accursed adversary's sheer mass. In that dire moment, the Lady of Light unleashed her ageless power in one seismic detonation that shook Arda's foundations. Her unified song reshaped existence into a symphony of sorcerous forces directed upon Dol Guldur's haunted edifice. World-shattering energies scoured every taint from the forests. Immeasurable magics clashed, realities merged and negated in cosmic bursts until the fortress's unholy walls groaned, fissured, and finally imploded. When the mayhem subsided days later, only charred bedrock remained where that abhorrent womb once consumed the land. The horde ceased their onslaught, as if unmade from existence. Amid scenes of utter eradication, all semblance of the ancient menace vaporized by power beyond comprehension. As the Fourth Age dawned upon the shattered remains of the Dark Lord's upheaval, the time came for the Elven realm's protectors to redefine the domains liberated from Dol Guldur's wicked grasp. To the valorous Bjornings and Woodmen was given Mirkwood's long-contested interior vales. Now purged of the ancient scourge by the Lady of the Wood's ethereal power, their hearths could thrive anew in dawning realms of verdant rebirth. The northern reaches of Mirkwood remained a verdant sanctuary under Thranduil's steadfast rule, a vibrant emerald bastion embracing his people's ancestral hearths. Though shadows once veiled the forest's haunted core, the Elven King's sylvan companies fearlessly guarded their woodland citadel and hallowed groves. When at last the darkness lifted and new dawns of rebirth bathed their ancient home, the elves rejoiced to keep their northern realm, its beech and oak vales now a verdant paradise where they could wander freely amid birdsong and murmuring brooks. Mirkwood's lingering shadow had dissipated, but these venerated heartlands would forever be the Sylvan Elves' eternal sanctuary, lush woodlands embracing them in nature's timeless tranquility. Surveying the vitrified scar where Dol Guldur's vile womb once oozed malicious miasma, Celeborn, Lord of Lorien, reshaped ruined lands. He rechristened those ash-strewn realms East Lorien, unifying them with the golden wood of Lothlorien under his lady's ethereal light. Their radiant grace would hallow the purged domains in eternal defiance of the foul darkness freshly scoured into oblivion. Charred desolation would now blossom into verdant splendor, hallowed glades and groves flourishing where unholy blight once festered as Galadriel's luminosity dispelled the brooding shadow evermore. Golden Meliorn would rise amid furrowed meadows, rippling with silken grasses, ushering an emerald renaissance across those sanctified marches. However, as the age of men dawned, even Galadriel's timeless radiance began to dim, for Nenya's power had diminished upon the undoing of the ruling One Ring, and the protection of the Lady of Light waned. As she prepared at last to depart the shores of Middle-earth, so too did the Golden Wood's ethereal luster slowly ebb and fade. What once shone in blinding luminescence grew muted, hallowed Meliorn groves, diminishing from incandescent splendor into hushed, slumbering arbors, cloaked in deepening dusk. When at last Celeborn led the Galadrim upon their final westward journey across the sundering seas, Lorien's light finally winked out entirely. East Lorien's radiant graces faded to hushed memory as the ethereal power of the Lady of the Woods was forever relinquished from the world. Those sanctified forests passed into the fading legends of the Eldar, their ageless beauty surrendered to the mortal lands, now bereft of the elven fires that once hallowed its timeless sylvan wonders. Experience the timeless light that defied darkness through epic tales of Tolkien's world. Subscribe now to illuminate your imagination and ring the notification bell to never miss a video.